Okay, so the most important chapter of your most important paper, which is business communication for your CSEET. So we are going to begin that. Okay, so concept of business communication is your lesson number 4. If you must have seen, okay, or in case you all have already read it, it is your chapter number 4 of your business communication paper. Okay, in this paper they're going to talk a lot about communication, your skills, vocabulary, comprehension, your legal terminologies, etc. Okay, the most important topics over here, we start with the first one is concept of business communication. Okay, now to understand from our you know uh, curriculum and our academics, okay, why have they put this particular subject as a part of our entrance exam? Because if you see now any type of entrance exam, wherever you have heard about, you have heard of different type of, you have MHCT, you have JEE, etc, etc. There are a lot of entrance exam for different fields, to take up in life. I have noticed, if you all have also gone through, all these entrance exams, basically, they have a lot of importance on the English language. Okay, so we as a professional, if we are going to become company secretaries tomorrow, our communication skills have to be very strong. Of course, we are going to be in the corporate world, so we need to understand what is business communication. Hence, this particular chapter and this particular paper is being incorporated as a part of clearing your entrance exam. Okay, so let's begin with that first. Now, concept of communication. Starting with what is communication in itself. Okay, so communication basically here. Okay, communication is nothing but it is derived from the Latin word which is known as communis. Okay, so it is derived from the Latin word communis. What is communis? Means to share. Okay, anything, there is a process where there's two people involved, we are sharing or we are exchanging any kind of signs or information or expression or a fact, it is known as communication. Okay, so it is derived from the Latin word communis, a very very important MCQ. Sometimes they definitely ask this. Okay, their favorite one. Okay, so communis is a Latin word. Communicate has been derived from this particular word. It means to share. Okay, it means to exchange between the individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. So basically it is an expression of, either you can have facts, you can have ideas, feelings, emotions, etc. Okay, there are certain important communication related definition given by different authors. So communication is the simplest form of conveying information from one person to another. So today I'm communicating with you all. So it is the most simple way of talking or exchanging information. Okay. Then communication is transfer of information from one person to another. Okay, so it is from Kuntz and O'Donnell. This was the first one, was from Hudson. Communication is exchange of facts, ideas, opinions, or emotions between two or more persons. This is given by George Terry. And the last one, which is given by Alan Lewis, he says it is a sum of all the things. Okay, so one person does when he wants to create understanding in the mind of another person. Okay, it is a bridge of meaning. It involves a systematic and continuous process of telling. So one person is telling something, other side is listening, and as well as understanding. Okay, so first we have to understand communication in order to go ahead and do business communication related concepts. Okay, so it is essential that in our communication, okay, it is the most important essential of communication. It is an activity between the human beings. Okay, of human beings. It is a two-way process. Okay, so there has to be at least two-person. It can be more than two-person, but there has to be at least two-person who is communicating from one end to another. So there is a sender and a receiver kind of a relationship when we talk about a communication. Okay, so keeping this in mind, okay, this brief understanding about communication, we will now do business communication. Okay, so since we have understood what is communication, whenever we are communicating for the purpose of commercial activity, okay, so we all know what is communication: exchange of ideas, facts, etc., all the different definitions. But that same communication we are doing to transact some commercial activity, that communication will be known as a business communication. Commercial activity means what? That is providing goods, services, okay, for generation of profit, etc. It will be termed as business communication. Okay, so according to Scott, this is important. Okay, please mark the importance along with me so that you all know what you all have to read, with read wisely those points. Okay, important points. So administrative communication. Administrative communication is a process which involves the transmission and accurate replication of the ideas ensured ensured by feedback for the purpose of eliciting action which will accomplish the goals. Okay, so for business communication, important is exchange of idea. Okay, which is supported with the feedback. Very, very important. It has to have a feedback in order to achieve the organizational goal. Organizational goal. Okay, that is the business communication. Okay, so it is related to commercial activity for exchange of ideas where feedback is the most important pillar of communication. So hence it enables one to achieve the organizational goals. So features, coming quickly, since we know now what is business communication, what are the features of business communication? First one, communication is a two-way process. Done. Okay, so the success or the failure of communication is decided only based on the feedback. So today if I am communicating, I will obviously need your feedback, whether you have understood what am I teaching you. So there is a feedback. So this is the most essential part of communication, feedback. Okay, also communication is an ongoing process. Okay, ongoing process means it is there at all the level of the organization. Okay, no role of a particular employee or a person or a professional is complete, okay, unless it is not an on, it keeps on, it is a continuous process. All right, communication consists not only of facts but also about the ideas, any kind of emotions, etc. Okay, so it of course has everything, is treated as a communication. So it is much more than words. Communication is much more than words. You can have communication just by body language, okay, with your signs, okay, like shake of a hand. Okay, so these are also gestures. Okay, so these important signs of body language, etc., facial expression are also part of communication. Communication is a very dynamic process. It keeps changing. Okay. Okay, it incorporates the changing shape of participants and the environment. So today we are sitting with audio visual form of communication. It keeps changing. Initially we used to have that telegram. Okay, so if a person, in old age, if they wanted to communicate from one end to another person, we didn't have telephones or etc. Then came the time and era of we having telephones, then mobile phones, then laptops and audio visual and everything. Okay, communication is a goal oriented process. I just explained you all the hierarchy. So it is business communication where there is exchange of ideas. Feedback is the most important thing. Why? Because we have to achieve our organizational goal. So there is always a goal. Today my goal of communication is to explain you all this chapter, right? So this is how you are going to remember one after the another. And communication is an interdisciplinary science. Why an interdisciplinary science? Because knowledge is derived. When you derive knowledge, okay, from several sciences is used in communication. Okay, so when you say anthropology, that is the study of the body language. Then you have the psychology, study of the persuasion, the attitude. Okay, sociology and political science, study of voting behavior. Okay, so everything is there together. So it is an interdisciplinary science: social, psychological, political, and anthropology. Okay, so these are the features, six important features of business communication. All right, now let's move forward to importance. Okay, now it is very, very essential that if you are having a business, for the success of the business communication is important. Okay, now why has business communication become so important, gained importance over the years? And why it is so important, that we need to know, because there is increase in the size of the business firms. Okay, the larger, the more bigger the scale of a big industry, more business communication, thousands of people like Reliance, Tata's, more of communication. They need to have the infrastructure of well communication activities, commercial activities, etc. in place. Then we have growing specialization, different departments: purchase, sales, accounts, HR, all different departments in a given organization. So the more specialization, okay, has kind of, it has made important that there has to be business communication rightly placed in these organizations. Then there is a cutthroat competition. A success of business depends globally, anywhere. It depends on your business communication infrastructure. Okay, so since there is a lot of competition, in order to stay in the market, you have to have business communication in place. All trade union movements, okay, in Maharashtra, Mumbai, everywhere, you must have heard, okay, we have a very strong and very powerful management of union leaders, for several matters with them and the management. Okay, so regular exchange of ideas keep happening between the trade unions, and the management people. So of course we need, this is the importance of business communication. Human relations, okay, it will be effective only if there is a proper business communication between the employees and the management level, and there is communication across the organization. And of course public relations. As company secretaries, for us it is very important, okay, to maintain this public relations. Okay, we are the representatives, we are the compliance officers of a given corporate organization. We are the one who are going to maintain public relations, like relationship with the stakeholders, your shareholders, employees, your banks, financial institutions, SEBI if you are listed, RBI, etc. It is our responsibility to communicate and keep the concern, well complied and communicated across all these organizations and the stakeholders which are involved in a company. Okay, so from a company secretary point of view also I'm explaining. And it is a personal asset. Okay, communication is a skill. It is a skill which you will learn and never forget. Okay, so it is very, very important, and it gives you success in any job you go, anywhere you go. If your communication skills, tomorrow you go as a, for an interview as a CS, and you have a fantastic way of communicating, writing, talking, okay, knowing, documents, etc., speech, anything, and you will be able to stand anywhere. So like teachers, advocates, etc., they have lot of these type of high communication skill people. They of course keep reading more, so their communication skill, their ability keeps on enhancing. Okay, then coming to third thing. Okay, so I will break up this for you all. We did what? We first started with concept of communication. Okay, so we just started with this, what is communication, number one. Then we did important, number two, business communication, right? So we did business communication. In business communication, we did features of business communication. So you can say this is A. We did features, then we did the importance of business communication, and now we are doing the communication process. Okay, so see. So what is the process? I will take you all to this diagram directly. Okay. First, there is a sender. Okay, so basically, okay, we will come to the diagram also, but we have to read this also. So first I develop an idea. Okay, so whatever I wish to communicate, okay, I will develop that idea, or through which the sender wishes to transmit whatever I am using, say suppose an email for communication. So I'll develop an idea of what I want to communicate. Okay, and this will be the key step. I know that I'll be communicating this work to this person over email, okay, or WhatsApp, etc. Then after development of an idea, you encode that idea, okay, with suitable words, charts, symbols, information, etc., which I would like to transmit. So once I have encoded, I have written, I will transmit to my to the person who has to receiving end. Okay, so say I'm sending an email to you all. Okay, I'm sending an email to my employees or my interns. Okay, so I will make a list of all the work and I will now transmit. So my interns will receive the information, the message, etc. They will decode it. Once they decode it, means they will understand exactly what the sender has sent them. There will be a feedback. Okay, it will be the receiver's response to the sender's message. Okay, and then all right, so there will be a feedback. So feedback is the most important part of the completion of the communication process. Now they have put this one point, noise. Noise is the most important failure in communication. Okay, if there is noise, noise will distract everything and anything. Okay, so it distracts a person while they are talking, communicating over the phone. Okay, it distracts a person if they are relying on that channel of communication. Okay, sometimes the receiver understands and interprets it in a wrong manner because they have not heard it clearly. So noise is one of the most important failures, so we should avoid any kind of noise while communication is taking place. Okay, so see this diagram. There is a sender who develops an idea, okay, a message, encodes that message and sends it to the receiver. Their receiver decodes it and then again puts a message in form of the feedback that will be known as the process of communication. Okay, now we come to the 7 C's of communication, that is D. Okay, 7 C's of communication. One, communication has to be complete. Complete communication. Conciseness. We will come to each of it. It has to be concrete. There has to be courtesy, correctness. Then we have consideration. Okay, and the last one will be uh, correctness, courtesy, concreteness, completeness. Yes, the first one in fact was clarity. No problem. So it is 7 C's. So there is clarity, there is complete information, conciseness, correctness, courtesy, okay, and consideration. So now let's see what each one means. Okay. So principle of clarity, important principle. 7 C's, no? So we are doing principles of communication. There are 7 principles. Okay, so starting with clarity. All right, so communication has to be clear for the receiver to understand. So keep the receiver, in your mind. All right, and be clear, okay, into what you desire to express or pass the information, etc. Okay, it has to have, appropriate words, clear words, okay, with which the receiver is also acquainted to. Okay, then give some examples, etc., to make your, clarity better of a given concept. Then, principle of completeness. Complete information, communication must be complete, all the facts required, okay, to be given to the audience. So say suppose right now I'm doing this 7 C's of communication with you, and I explain you all 2 and 3, I just reveal 2 3, and last 3 are left. So the entire, the motive, okay, the purpose over here gets defeated of my communication, okay, of my teaching to you. Okay, the sender of the message must take into consideration the receiver's mindset and convey the message accordingly. So complete communication develops the reputation, enhances the reputation of organization. Okay, mostly they are cost saving. When you miss a crucial information, again there will be an additional cost for whatever your time, etc. It will be a cost at your end. It will always give you an additional information whenever required if you're giving a complete information. Okay, complete communication helps in better decision making. Even the receiver will know exactly this work I have to do. Okay, today only in the morning I had a client whom I had emailed, okay, a particular list of all the documents one at a time, everything mentioning that there are 7 documents. Okay, first is so and so, second is so and so, third is so and so. So everything in that email I had mentioned, and I had instructed my client that what has to be done with each draft. He called me up and he informed me that, Miss Fatima, like, everything you have written is so precise that I have no doubt in my mind. I know now what has to be done. So this should be your, clarity and completeness when you are communicating. That the opposite person has no ambiguity. Okay. Third one is principle of conciseness. Okay, conciseness means wordiness, communicating what you want to convey in least possible words without forgetting the other important C's of communication. We don't have to write paragraphs and passages. Okay, if there is a question asked to you in the exam, a descriptive question, if you are not able to provide an answer based on that question, so your conciseness of that answer, correctness, everything is defeated. Okay, so be concise, convey whatever has to be conveyed relating to that topic. Effective, make it effective. Time saving, cost saving, okay, everything will cover up over here. Don't use needless and excessive words which will confuse the receiver. Then coming to principle of concreteness. What is concrete communication? It is being particular and clear, very very particular. It is relating to this, okay, rather than any general information. Okay, so be concrete with what you want to communicate. Support with the facts and figures. Okay, like say we see these news and all. Okay, that is a different thing. There is a lot of other topics which are being discussed in one given topic. But if I want to read a news, or if I'm listening to news, okay, concrete based on that, not general, based on a particular event which has happened. Okay. Then principle of courtesy. What do you mean by courtesy? See, courtesy in a message, whenever there is a courtesy, means what? The sender's expression should be revealed, as well as there has to be respect for the receiver. So the tone, when I am trying to communicate with a client over the WhatsApp, okay, so my tone, my expression, whether I'm angry or I am satisfactory or I'm happy, etc., is revealed. Okay, so when you're revealing that, you have to keep in mind the respect of the receiver. So be polite, judicious, be reflective in what you are talking. Okay, you should be able to take what you are saying to others, no? So today if I'm angry and I'm portraying that anger to you all, you will not be able to take it. When I am not able to see myself in that way, so, or I am not able to take up communication from another person in that manner, I also have to respect others. Okay, so that politeness etc should be there. That is what is known as courtesy in a given message. Principle of correctness: give a correct information, well timed, correct, exact, which is there for that particular purpose or that particular business goal. And then consideration for receiver, again same thing, put yourself in the receiver's place and then do the communication. Okay, now I have one client, again I'll explain, I'll tell you all, just these are all my live you know things which I'm sharing with you all. Now that client does not know only how to operate the email, and how to take the printout, or how to go ahead with any kind of a form etc. So if I am going to send him email then also and keep on explaining him, send you an email, sir, please check. Array, but the receiver is not able to do that. Okay, so my communication has to keep the audience in mind. Okay, so today I know that my audiences are my students. Okay, so they are going to attend this particular class, so they will obviously need the notes, they also want to see me, they want to interact. So I have kept all my audience, my entire audience in my mind, and I'm communicating it in that manner. Simple as that. So these are the 7 important principles of communication. Okay, so I think we were on point number D. Yeah, so we have completed point number D of business communication. Features, then we did importance, and then we did what did we do? We did the procedure, and then we did the 7 importances. Okay, now there are other things also apart from these 7 principles that we should keep in mind. These are just basically read. Okay, you can just read them through, they are not very important, they are very generic. Okay, basically they are trying to say that 7 C's of course you have to keep in mind while communicating, but there are other things which are there on the board, so to not forget that these are generic. So once you have this also in your place, your communication is like fantastically well done. Okay, so own your message. So if whatever you're taking, teaching, writing, communicating, take the responsibility of your communication. Okay, then offer complete and relevant information, that again is a part of your 7C. Obtain the feedback. Okay, obtain the feedback. Feedback has become very important now. Think of the recipient. Then verbal or non-verbal, are you using words, or you need some facial or human gestures, body languages etc. Okay, so whether you have to communicate it just with a smile or a handshake, so that also should be understood. Okay, so verbal, non-verbal. Then repeat only if it is necessary in order to avoid waste of time etc. So repeat only if it is necessary. Okay, do not judge, very important. This is like, this is the life lesson right now nowadays. Okay, do not judge. We already have a mindset of a particular person in our mind, and based on that only we communicate with them. He will not understand, she will not understand, let it be. Just inform him this much or teach him this much and leave it. Do not judge. Okay, rely on the important facts. Okay, so these are certain generic stuff which they have given apart from the principles. Now there is one window known as Johari window. Okay, Johari window. Now what is this Johari window? First we will just do a quick reading. Okay, now Johari window is firstly important MCQ from here. It is named after the first name of its investors. Okay, so whoever has invested this, they have taken the first names of these 2 investors and they have clubbed it, and they have said it is a Johari window. So we have Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham. Okay, so these 2 investors, so Joe and Harry, Therefore, it is Johari. Okay, so it is one of the useful models, they say, in describing the process of human interaction. So there is a 4-panel window, okay, which is illustrated. So you see here there are 4 panels. Okay, there is one. It is in the form of a window. So it is known to self. Then that is arena. There is then one not known to self side. Okay, blind spot, unknown. This is also unknown to others. They have made a mistake in writing here. It is unknown to others. Okay, so say for example, arena window. You also know about yourself. You know yourself about that particular thing, and others also know it. So say for example, my name. I don't know only my name. Even others know it. Okay, so that is known as an arena window. Then there is a blind spot. Okay, now that blind spot is what? You may not be knowing yourself about your own self, but others know it. Okay, so say suppose there is some kind of a stain on my dress, okay, which I am not aware because I cannot see it. Okay, but others know that. Okay, so that is known as a blind spot, known to self, not known to self, but known to others. Okay, for example, stain on your, or there is something on your hair, or there is a stain on your clothes on the back, etc. Then there is one window which is known as a facade window. In that you know that about yourself, but others don't know. Okay, so say you have got some you have cleared your some exam or some marks, or you have performed badly in something, okay, in your paper, etc. Okay, got really less marks and you are not very good in, expressing your this sad feeling across, so you know it, but others don't know about it. Okay, so less marks. And then there are certain things which neither you don't, even you don't know about yourself, nor do others know it. Those are known as unknown part. Okay, there is something which even you don't know and others also don't know about it. You yourself are not aware that you have this ability or you can do this particular thing. Okay, so this is a window wherein it is unknown to yourself as well as to others. Okay, so when you all will read this, see, so it is also, this window is also known as a open quadrant, open window. 4 quadrants, 4 windows are there, right? Okay, so they have given you all the entire whatever examples which I just told you all. Okay, they have given it to you all in this particular uh, examples. This you all don't have to do. This adjectives of 55 adjectives in alphabetical order. It is okay. Johari window consists of these adjectives. 55 adjectives are there. But you don't have to sit and learn these adjectives. Alright. Then coming to the, I'm going up on the next topic. That is topic number 4 for us. Types of communication. Now, until here, until Johari window, is there anything you all have not understood? You all need more clarification? Or should I move ahead? You all can be really free in talking, and whenever I'm asking a question, please, like how you all like to listen to me, so even I would like to listen to you all. So you all can talk to me and tell me whatever it is.
Ma'am, everything is going good.
Going good? Fine. Okay, we are good. So then let's move forward. Okay, so now taking it forward, types of communication. Okay, important topic, of this chapter. Important. Okay, so we have broadly only 2 types: internal, external. Finish. These are the broad types of communication. One is internal, one is external communication. So internal, now think from an organization point of view when I'm talking about internal, external. In an organization, when you're communicating amongst the people of that organization, of course it is an internal communication. But the moment I start communicating to my clients, okay, to my regulating authorities, to my government bodies, to my stakeholders, etc., it will become an external communication. Okay, so depending upon whether this communication is internal or external, the importance also changes. Okay, so internal communication, it is what, when people within the organization are communicating with one another, it is said to be internal communication. So obviously employees of the organization as a team, okay, to achieve their goals, etc., that communication can be official, non-official, like if you're friends also, you're communicating one individual to another, one department to another. Okay, so internal communication can be in oral form as well as in the written form, or in any kind of a form the internal communication can happen. Okay, and in internal communication in the organization, obviously people communicate at personal level. Why? Because we make friends, we talk to them. Okay, this is known as informal communication. Okay, so a good example is that of a grapevine, which is present in some measures everywhere. Grapevine, I told you something, you went and told that same thing to someone in another form, so it is obviously there, so it kind of like spreads rumors, half truths here and there. Okay, so it is a non unofficial communication, it is an informal communication. Visual communication are also one of the most important keys of internal communication. Nowadays, directors, meetings, etc. Okay, audio visual communication happen over the Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Okay, all modes of non-verbal communication may be used in internal communication, non-verbal. Gestures. Some of the most important written communication in internal communication, we have memos, reports, notices, orders, circulars, agendas, minutes of meeting. Okay. Other than the radio, all other modes of oral communication started earlier could be used in internal communication. Stated earlier can be used in internal communication. So radio is not the one part, but all these other parts are okay, that can be used for internal communication. Internet with multimedia, video conferencing, like how we are doing right now, presentations, okay, electronic visual aids, audio visual communication, all of this can be used in internal communication. All right, except other than the radio, everything else is used. Now external communication, obviously when you're communicating with anyone outside the organization, external. So it can be clients, customers, distributors, I told you, government authorities, etc. Here we use letters. There can be circulars, price lists, manuals, purchase orders, okay, brochures, college brochures, okay, my product brochures. All these are methods of external communication. And generally you will find external communication more formal in nature, because you're communicating to the outside people, maintaining public relations. So you will not have communication over here in an informal manner. Okay, then some of the written modes of this communication, we know that circulars, you get circulars from institute ICSI, you get newsletters, you get information, you get advertisements, etc. Then one important line over here also, other than intercom. Intercom is for internal communication. Okay. Then dictation, teleconferencing, brainstorming sessions, grapevine, all the other modes of oral communication which are stated earlier are can be used in external communication. In internal communication, radio is the only exception. You can't use radio in internal communication. Okay, and in external communication you can't use intercom, dictation or teleconferencing, etc. Brainstorming within, okay, brainstorming can be done, brainstorming sessions like wherein you have team of employees doing particular project, talking to each other, brainstorming the session. Grapevines, all those are internal communications. Okay, we can use all modes of audio visual communication for external communication, and all modes of non-verbal communication also can be used in external communication, but that depends for which purpose. Okay, so if I'm going for a meeting, etc., shake of hands, a smile, all that. Okay, then coming to communication flows. Okay, internal external communication done. When we will do correspondence, we will understand internal and external more in detail. We will come to know what is a memo, what is a letter, what is a, circular notice. So when we will do those correspondences, at that time we will be again doing internal and external communication. So now coming to the communication flow, there are four ways in which the communication can flow. One is downward. Okay, so say top management, then middle level, and then you have the bottom. Obviously, communication flows downwards from top to low, middle, and then low. It also flows upwards. So you have it from down up to down, then you can have it from down to up, upward flow, downward flow, both. You can also have a diagonal flow. Now I'll explain you all what is a diagonal flow, and you can also have a horizontal flow. Now what is a horizontal flow? Simple. Okay, head of department of purchase. Okay, purchase department head. Okay, he is communicating to the accounts department head. Accounts department head. Both at the same level of the hierarchy, both are the head but of different departments. So diagonal flow or horizontal flow of the communication. Upward and downwards are so very easy. Upward flow and downward flow is very easy. We need to know more about the diagonal flow and the horizontal flow. So diagonal flow, what is diagonal? Okay, what happens is sometimes two departments have to work together. Okay, one work requires to go through different departmental procedures, right? So like right now I told you, head of the department of purchase is communicating with the head of the accounts department. Okay, sometimes what happens is, in case of say not heads, say if I tell you, um okay, if I tell you for diagonal flow, okay, head of accounts department, okay, is communicating diagonally. It's communicating to one of the intern of the sales department. Okay, so when more than one department are involved, na, at that time this diagonal flow will take place. Okay, see here. Often there arises situation where the task has to be completed involving more than one department in the organization, and there is more often no obvious line of authority. Sometimes we don't understand who has the authority where. So in these circumstances, we say that this is the diagonal flow of information from top to bottom. Okay, downward flow, we know it is a top level flowing to the lower level, upward from lower level to the top level. Horizontal, we know that it is between the same status people, same level, same activity kind of people. But in case of diagonal, when we are not able to understand, the kind of, the channel, or we can't understand the hierarchy, and the information is flowing from one department to another, then it is known as a diagonal flow. So there are only four flows. Okay, they sometimes ask you all a question whether there is a vertical flow. There is no such vertical flow of information or communication. Okay, then we have means and modes of communication. So understood? Downward, upward, diagonal, horizontal. Now coming to means and modes of communication, topic number 6. Okay, so means of communication, verbal and non-verbal, two broad classifications. In verbal, we can have anything where there is a use of words is verbal. Then use of words can be in form of writing, it can be in form of talking orally over the phone, say. It can be in the form of visual, like how you all are seeing now, and audio visual also, both things. Okay, so anything which has words on it, it is a verbal communication. Which does not involve words, it involves body gestures, body language, smile, okay, hand gestures, etc. Those are known as a non-verbal communication. So in a given organization, both non-verbal, verbal, both are used. Facial expressions, gestures, and non-verbal communication. Okay, so now verbal communication, all the four they have explained us in detail. So let's take up one at a time. So written communication. Okay, if I'm drafting a letter, circular, proposals, business reports. Okay, then there are various kinds. Okay, in written communication, all these they have given. Email, letters, notice agendas, advertisements, customers, newsletters, written. Then we have advantages and disadvantages of written communication. Okay, so they are both, everything has its own advantage and disadvantages. So advantages of written communication, it allows us sufficient time for planning the document. Okay, you can revise the contents, we can make the changes and then send that particular letter. Display what we have written. Okay, so if I want to display it in form of chart, table, etc., I can use headings, bullets for better understanding. Okay. Information in the written form may be filled or retrieved as and when it is convenient. We can save it and we can retrieve it at a later stage. But disadvantages, it takes us more time, of course. Okay. In order to write a letter and type and send something rather than just oral communication. Therefore, it is expensive. Then it also suffers from certain limitations at the sender's end, inadequacies of the message sometimes. So reply also sometimes arrives late. Feedback is not given. Fail communication process. Communication in writing also suffers from lack of congruence with non-verbal communication. Of course, you're not able to express your feelings or something in written communication. I'm not talking about WhatsApp emojis. Okay. Maybe students tell me, ma'am, we can do that. Yeah, of course, on WhatsApp you can. Then you have oral communication. So, in case of oral communication, yes, telephone, messages, okay, on the mobile, intercom, face to face discussion, okay, just presentations, meetings, radio, speeches, grapevine interview, all these are oral form. There's nothing written over here. Okay, so even in this, you will have certain advantages and disadvantages of oral communication. Oral communication, basically, quickly we will do this because this is all what is important. It saves times, it provides opportunity for feedback and clarification. No, there and there you can take a feedback. Oral communication helps to convey the message more appropriately with a suitable tone, use of words. Okay, effective tool for persuasion in management. Personal touch when you talk and you speak to your supervisors or executives. It is very effective in communicating with groups and teamwork, like how we have in schools and colleges. It is very economical also, and withdrawal of oral communication is comparatively a very easy task. Okay, but however, again, there are certain disadvantages. Okay, so disadvantages of oral communication are, it is very important, we also should know. Okay, it mainly depends upon the attitude of the sender and the receiver of the messages. Okay, it should be kept in view that the communication is not an one sided activity in oral communication. Okay, then we have to use appropriate words to convey the messages, ability to receive that, but the receiver should have the ability to understand it. Okay, communication has to be spontaneously done, use of right words, etc. Okay, so and oral communication requires one very important thing is total silence. Okay, and also it depends upon your ability of listening. Okay, there is a difference in hearing and listening. Okay, so listening is something wherein you are able to interpret what you are hearing. Okay, so it is very important in case of oral communication. Okay, it totally depends upon listening. If that receiver is listening properly, only then they will be able to give you the feedback. Okay, hence once feedback is done, the process gets completed of communication. All right. Then we have visual communication. In visual communication, we can have graphs, tables, maps, demonstrations, charts, okay, and audio visual communication. television, the most biggest example, audiovisual, cinema, internet with multimedia, all our reels and Facebook videos, video conferencing, presentation using electronic visual aids or electronic presentations. Okay. And non-verbal communications. So in non-verbal, you have your facial expressions, you have gestures, movements, eye contact, nodding of the head, physical appearances, all are non-verbal communication. Okay, fine. So now, since we know what is verbal and non-verbal, okay, so choice of means and modes of communication also we will depend on certain factors. Okay, so choice of means, how we will choose what and how are we going to communicate, how we'll choose the mode of communication. So it will depend upon the certain factors. One is your organization size and policy, what your organization wants. If it is a small, like if we were saying there is one doctor's clinic where the doctor is sitting and the compounder is there, so now obviously they will do oral communication, they will not write anything over email. Okay, so depends upon the size of the organization, what policies they have, nature of the message, informal, formal nature, distance which is involved, one branch to another. Okay, then cost factor and resources of that particular organization. So all these are the important factors before you choose the means of communication. So you have to keep in mind this: size of the organization, what are the policy, cost factor, nature, distance, resources for that particular infrastructure for communication. And now, since it is the era of digital communication, everything is over the internet. Okay, we are living in this information age. Okay, digital technologies and everything is available with a click of, like a button, like, Chrome, and you have Google and Facebook, everything. Everything is over the net. So we have all means of electronic communication now, mediums of digital communication. So we have emails, instant messaging, we have mobile phones, we have PDAs, forums of news group, blogs, video conferencing, Skype. Okay, so electronic email wherein we are using the internet system for sending one message from the sender to the receiver. Okay, so we have this SMPT protocol, simple mail transfer protocol used, okay, from the sender to the receiver through the help of internet connection. It is email. Instant messaging, real time messaging, is like a email, but it is done on real time. OTPs, best example. Okay, then we have mobile phones for talking, sending messages, pictures, videos, whatnot. PDA, personal digital assistants, computer devices like your laptop or a tab. Okay, forums, news groups, online discussion groups or WhatsApp groups, blogs. Okay, web blogs, Skype, Zoom, all this video conferencing related methods. Okay, two-way transmission by seeing the video. Okay, now coming to eighth, communication network. In network, now that is where my students get confused, flow of information and network. In network, we have vertical network. Okay, so types of communication network: vertical, we have circuit, we have chain, we have wheel, and we have star. Okay, and this is important for your MCQs. Huh? So what are they? How it is known it is to be vertical or chain or wheel? What? How? Let's see this. We'll see with the help of the diagrams. Vertical means what? From superior to the subordinate and from the subordinate to the superior. Vice versa. Vertical. Okay, so say in the same department from the legal head to the intern. Okay, so supervisor to the subordinate. It will be vertical network. Very simple, vanilla, basic, vertical. Circuit. Okay, circuit network will be where A sends message to B and then B gives a feedback to A. Now you will ask me what is the difference between the supervisor and subordinate. See, if you see, it's almost the same thing, from one to another, from another person to another one. Okay. But here the relationship between in circuit network between A and B is not of that supervisor and a subordinate. They both can be heads. They both can be directors. Okay. When they communicate with each other. And there is a feedback given by Mr. B. Okay. So it is in the form of circuit. Again, there is a message. There is a circuit. Here, there is a relationship of supervisor and subordinate. Either it can move from supervisor to subordinate or it is moving from the subordinate to supervisor. Then we have chain network. What is a chain network? From A, it is going to B. A is the head director, then some head of the department, then his some executive, and then the intern. Similarly, A is transmitting some information and communication to E, then from E to F, F to G. So there is a chain formed. Okay. So with the help of the diagram itself, your doubt is clear. See, very strong mean of communication, right? Then wheel network. Wheel means there is one superior person. Okay, they receive, others are receiving commands from that particular one superior only. Okay, so say this is the head of the sales department, and he's got all these sales executive. So he is transmitting information and communication to B. B is again communicating back to A. A is also transmitting information to C. So say this is a team leader. Example. Team leader. And all these are his team members. It becomes a wheel network. Very important. There the command is being received from one superior only. And again the feedback is given back to that superior only. But that superior, that team leader has many people around him. Okay, so it is a centralized type of communication, you can see. Okay, then you have star network. You can say group discussions are the best example, wherein you're sitting in a group of people. Okay, you have your team in your college or etc., and you're discussing. So information is flowing from A to C, C to B. B is again asking some question to A, then to E, then to, there is like it is in a form of a star. Okay, it flows from one place to another. It does not have a channel of fixed flowing. So therefore it is known as star network. Okay, so we saw 5 types. One is your vertical network. We have circuit, chain, wheel, and star network. Okay, so these are the important networks of business communication. Okay, communication networks. Point number 8 is clear. Now coming to 9, barriers to communication. There are many barriers, and because of these barriers, communication process itself fails and it affects the organizational goals. Okay, so uh, it is very important for us to first know what are these barriers. Only if we will know it, we'll be able to overcome it. Okay, because we will able to have some kind of a solution to overcome that particular communication barrier. Okay, so there are many reasons due to which communication fails, but some of them which are important to note and which can be prevented. Okay, first one is lack of planning. Okay, first you have not planned only what you want to communicate. Okay, so there is no specific purpose which you're looking at. There is nothing which you have already brainstormed yourself and understood what you want to do. Okay, then false assumptions. In many communication situations, the sender starts with several assumptions. Okay, the receiver may also wish to be understood in certain way and encourage that false assumptions by the sender. So if you're having false assumptions, for example, a quality control manager should first check whether the workers are familiar with the Six Sigma standards before he is pulling them up for the non-adherence. Before I'm pulling up a particular employee for non-adherence of a given rule, I should first understand that whether they have understood this rule. Do they know what it is? Do they require some training? Okay, then ambiguity. If there is a lot of confusion in a given message, okay, then of course the communication is going to fail. Okay, so we must remember that our intentions are strictly, it is private to us. Okay, therefore the receiver may not understand it perfectly the way we do. So even if your tone is, say, some, you say that it is polite, but you have written in a message in a form where the receiver is under an impression that, oh, I have done this wrong and now this is going to be my, like, my boss is angry or something, so that there is ambiguity, there is something which is not clearly understood. Okay, then distortions. Okay, because the receiver is busy or preoccupied with other things, he does not know there are 10 people giving him some kind of work and commanding over him. So obviously if there is distortions, then communication process is going to fail. Passing judgments, this was also there before. Okay, before you send any message, we already make a mindset about the receiver. Okay, so passing of the judgments, you can read those examples whenever you all have time after this class. Then implied meanings, again, implied meanings, sometimes we think, no, overthink over a given message, so we kind of put our own meaning to those messages. May it is not written, but we try to imply the meanings. Okay, we kind of put our indications, our what is going in our head over that particular message. Lack of trust, there is no trust only between the sender and the receiver. Okay, then problem of uh, semantic distortions. What is a semantic distortion? Messages which are communicated through words may be distorted intentionally, okay, purposely. Okay, however, there are words that often mean different things to different people, hence they are not deliberately distorted. Okay, so sometimes certain words, okay, with a given reference, okay, I may talk about something in light of my own experience, but that might mean something else to you. So that is known as a semantic distortion. See, generally distortions are very, very intentional. Okay, but certain distortions which are not done with intention, okay, it is meaning different for me and for you, then it will be known as a semantic distortion. So since we know what are these barriers, we can hence, we can overcome these barriers, okay, in a very, very easy manner. Okay, because we already know now what is the problem and why our communication is failing. Okay, so firstly, I will have to clarify my ideas before I communicate. I will keep my need of the receiver, my audience in my mind. I'll consult others, my superiors, etc., before I do my communication. I will always be aware of my language, tone, content, what I'm giving, okay, in the message. I'll convey things which are of help and value to the listeners, okay. I'll ensure proper feedback and consistency of message. Okay, it should not be self contradictory. You are saying something and you're showing something else. Okay, follow up with the communication. And also, I will be a good listener at the same time if I want a feedback. Correct. So I will have to keep all these points in my mind in order to be a, in order to overcome my communication barrier. So we did total 10 topics, okay, in this chapter, and that's it. The most important chapter is covered with these 10 topics. In your time when you are reading this chapter again, you all can make this chapter in form of a flowchart and you can keep it like, for your revision, and it is very interesting. Okay, and more you write and more you read, okay, this practice will take you a long way. Today when you will get this habit, no, of reading and then writing, besides while you all are reading, you will be able to do the same thing in your executive level, in your professional level, and trust me, that thing is going to take you a long way. Those, your hand, your self written notes, your self made things are going to help you all at the time of revision, and they can you will surprisingly, you will be able to score the best marks out of it. Okay, so always have, this is my advice to all of my students, that you all should have the habit of kind of writing. So you can make this chapter in form of a flowchart and keep it ready. I have some quick, you know, MCQs, okay, which you all, I will put this particular sheet in the in the WhatsApp group, okay, which you all are there and how you all have joined. So I will be keeping this particular sheet. You all can have already marked the answers for you. So you all can go through these. These are the common, most important type of MCQs which are asked by the institute, okay, from the past exam papers, and the most important ones from the chapter. So I have given you all good, I think so, some around 50 MCQs for this chapter. So you can read it, finish these MCQs, and again be ready for another chapter of business communication. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.